Good morning, students, and a very happy new year to you. So, yes, happy new year, Parth, Nikita, Komal, Parth Asarthi, Prince, Ajay, Sankaran, Divya, Kadambari, Hardik, Gunjan. So, students, what are your resolutions for New Year? Yes, Parth, you are saying I will focus on self improvements and learning. What about others? Yes, Nikita. Parthasarathi, Sankaran, Prince, and others. What are your New Year resolutions? So your countdown for exams has also begun, students. So only 4 months, 120 days, about 120 days have left. Yes, happy New Year to all of you, Gunjan, Ashutosh, Devraj, Darshana, Soumya, Suman Goel. So 120 days left, about 120 days left for your exams. Yes. Okay. Yes, Nikita. Physical fitness. Yes, physical fitness is also very important because unless you are fit physically, you won't be in a position to plan the things, to study. Yes, Ashok, learn and learn. Okay. That's also good. Yes, Kadambari, you are saying to do more hard work. Yes, that's key to success, Kadambari. Yes, Muhammad, Happy New Year and Suman goal resolution to revise and revise. Yes, that's key to success. Again, revision, revision, and again revision, and to establish the things in your minds. Yes. So, students, on Friday we had learnt about SA 700, and we had learnt that auditors' objectives in accordance with SA 700 are to express an opinion on financial statements, and SA 700 also deals with form and content of audit report. Okay. So SA 700 dealt with what should be the content of audit report, what should be its structure, what should be its form. Yes, Sankaran, you are saying at my age, oh, you are 60 plus, Sankaran sir, after undergoing bypass surgery. Hats off to you. Hats off to you, Sankaran. So today we shall be doing SA 705, which deals with modification of auditor's opinion. That how auditor's opinion is to be modified, what are different types of modification. So students, we had learned in SA 700 that an auditor shall modify the opinion in two circumstances. What were those two circumstances? These two circumstances were that first, auditor concludes on the basis of audit evidence obtained that financial statements as a whole are not free from material misstatement. He has obtained the audit evidence, and on the basis of audit evidence, he concludes that financial statements are not free from material misstatements. Then he will express a modified opinion. Second situation is that he is not able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence at all to conclude that financial statements are free from material misstatements. So when I have been unable to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence to conclude that financial statements as a whole are whether these are as a whole are free from material misstatements, then there is no option left for me otherwise than to express a disclaimer. So I would disclaim, I would say that I am not in a position to give my opinion on these financial statements. Because why? Because I have not been able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence at all. Okay, so how I can express? So remember students, disclaimer of opinion is also a form of modification of opinion. Okay, saying that I am not in a position to express the opinion is also a form of modification of opinion. Okay, so as per SA 705, the objective of auditor is to express clearly and appropriately modified opinion. Okay, in these two circumstances, which we have already discussed just now. So remember these two circumstances, that these are two circumstances when the auditor has to express a modified opinion. First situation is that he has obtained sufficient appropriate audit evidence and he concludes on the basis of such audit evidence that financial statements are not free from material misstatements. And second situation is that he is unable to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence to conclude whether financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatements. So in either of these cases, he would express modified opinion. Yes. Clear, students? Yes, good morning, Aman Gupta. So there are three types of modified opinion. There are three types of modified opinion. SA 705 talks about three types of modified opinion. We shall discuss one by one all these three. So first of all, names of three types of opinions. These are qualified opinion, adverse opinion, and disclaimer of opinion. So remember, all these three are forms of modified opinion. Okay. Yes, Ashok, you are saying your chat box doesn't work properly. No, I am getting your mails. Yes. Just at the beginning, I got your mail where you were writing to learn and learn. Sometimes it could happen because of technical issues, but otherwise your mails are being received. Yes. So types of modified opinion, qualified opinion, adverse opinion, and disclaimer of opinion. So what are the circumstances now when the auditor expresses qualified opinion? Now first we shall talk about qualified opinion. So the auditor shall express qualified opinion again in any of these two circumstances. In any of these two circumstances. Now, first circumstance is that auditor obtains sufficient appropriate audit evidence and concludes on the basis of such audit evidence which he has obtained that misstatements in the financial statements, whether these are individual or in aggregate, are material but not pervasive to the financial statements. So he concludes on the basis of audit evidence that misstatements in financial statements are significant, but these are not pervasive to the financial statements. Now, students, can you tell me what is the meaning of term pervasive? We shall be learning it from auditing point of view, but generally you can tell what could be the meaning of the term pervasive. We shall learn what does it mean as per SA 705. But from your general intelligence, please tell me what could be the meaning of the term pervasive. What it is trying to denote. Yes, anybody? Pervasive. Yes. Any one of you guys? No, Ashok, it is not disclosed in financial statements. Pervasive means, yes, Suman, you are writing correctly. Pervasive means spread, which is present everywhere, which is present at many places, which is widely spread. Yes, Suman, you are writing correctly. Pervasive is derived from the word to pervade, to be present everywhere. Like say a disease is not restricted to one part, it has pervaded many parts in the body. So same way, the meaning of pervasive is a misstatement which although is significant, which although is material, but it is not pervasive. It is restricted to one account only. So this is the broad meaning of pervasive. Yes, Suman, you are right. Yes, Parth, you are also correct. It might affect every aspect or every material areas. Yes. Yes. Prevalent, yes, Sankaran. And Suman Goel, yes. Sham Goel, yes. Welcome, Sham Goel. Happy New Year. Okay. So you understand a broad meaning of term pervasive. Now we learn the meaning of term pervasive first. Technical meaning as per SA 705. Now there is a definition of the term pervasive. This term is defined in SA 705. So what does it define? It is a term used in the context of misstatements. First of all, remember that it is a term used in the context of misstatements to describe the effects on the financial statements of misstatements or possible effects on the financial statements of misstatements, if any, that are undetected due to inability to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. So pervasive effects are those effects, number one, which are not confined to specific elements, accounts, or items of financial statements. Say if effect of some misstatement is such that it is not restricted to one element, account, or item of financial statement, it is spreading to many areas, like say it is affecting sales, it is affecting inventories, it is affecting profits of the company. So it is affecting many areas. Its effect is not restricted to just one account, one element, or one item of financial statements. or if so confined, it could represent a substantial portion of financial statements. Even if suppose if it is not affecting many items of financial statements, but it represents a substantial part of the financial statements. It represents a substantial proportion of the financial statements. Then it also becomes pervasive. And in relation to disclosures, these are fundamental to users' understanding of financial statements. Now, if in respect of disclosures, their effects also become pervasive if they are fundamental to users' understanding of financial statements. So, sufficiently broad definition of the term pervasive. So, broadly, you can understand that pervasive means pervading everywhere. So if the effects of misstatements are such that these are material but not pervasive, then the auditor shall express a qualified opinion. Then the auditor shall express a qualified opinion. Okay. And what is the second condition of expressing qualified opinion? The auditor is unable to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence on which to base the opinion, but the auditor concludes that possible effects of financial statements, if any, could be material but not pervasive. So in both the conditions, the ancillary condition that effects are not pervasive, that is necessary to be complied with for expressing a qualified opinion. Say if the auditor is unable to obtain audit evidence, but he concludes that effects of such undetected misstatements could be material, these could be important, these could be significant, but these are not pervasive, these are restricted in nature. So in that case also he would express a qualified opinion. So broadly, students, you have to remember that when the auditor concludes on the basis of audit evidence that misstatements are material but not pervasive, then he would express a qualified opinion. If he has not been able to obtain audit evidence and he concludes that effects of undetected misstatements could be material but not pervasive, then he will also express a qualified opinion. Clear? So qualified opinion दो सिचुएशन में ऑडिटर को देना है. अगर ऑडिट एविडेंस उसने जो ऑब्टेन किया है उसके बेसिस पे वो ये कंक्लूड करता है कि जो मिसस्टेटमेंट्स हैं वो मेटीरियल तो हैं पर परवेसिव नहीं है, तो क्वालिफाइड ओपिनियन देना है. और अगर उसको ऑडिट एविडेंस मिला ही नहीं, ही हैज नॉट बीन एबल टू ऑब्टेन सफिशिएंट एप्रोप्रिएट ऑडिट एविडेंस, और वो ये कंक्लूड करता है कि जो अनडिटेक्टेड मिसस्टेटमेंट्स हो सकती हैं फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट से, क्योंकि उसने ऑडिट एविडेंस, ही हैज नॉट बीन एबल टू ऑब्टेन ऑडिट एविडेंस, सो he concludes that effects of such undetected misstatements are material but not pervasive. So उस केस में भी वो क्वालिफाइड ओपिनियन देगा. ओके, clear students? So first of all we shall complete the topic and then take your queries. Yes, students. So you now understand that qualified opinion is to be expressed in these two circumstances. Now, adverse opinion. Now, in what circumstances the auditor shall express an adverse opinion? Adverse means negative opinion. Now it is not positive. So first was unmodified, where the auditor gives a clean report. He gives a clean opinion. He does not express any reservations in unmodified opinion. And then came qualified opinion. Now it is a modified opinion, but the auditor doesn't here say that affairs of company do not reflect a true and fair view. He states in qualified opinion that company's state of affairs reflects a true and fair view, but subject to these reservations, subject to these observations. So this is what we call as qualified opinion. But adverse opinion, in adverse opinion, the auditor states that company's state of affairs do not reflect a true and fair view. So in what circumstances the auditor shall express an adverse opinion? So auditor shall express an adverse opinion when the auditor, having obtained sufficient appropriate audit evidence, concludes that misstatements individually or in the aggregate are both material and pervasive to the financial statements. So again, students, the condition to be complied with for expressing an adverse opinion is, number one, the auditor should have obtained sufficient appropriate audit evidence. On number two, on the basis of audit evidence, he concludes that misstatements either individually or in aggregate are both material and pervasive to the financial statements. In those circumstances, the auditor shall express an adverse opinion. Okay, so remember, students, that for expressing an adverse opinion, the auditor should obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. It is on the basis of obtaining audit evidence that he can express an adverse opinion. It is only on the basis of audit evidence obtained that he can conclude whether financial statements do not reflect a true and fair view. Okay. So clear, students? Now, Harmisha, yes, you are saying, please explain pervasive with example. So let us do this illustration. Let us do this illustration number 10. So Messrs. Taj, Raj and Associates are statutory auditors of a company engaged in manufacturing of watches for financial year 21-22. During course of audit, the partner found that stocks and debtors of the company constituting about 80% of the total assets of the company are not realizable. So stocks and debtors constitute about 80% of the total assets of the company. Say if on the balance sheet side, asset total is 1 crore, then 80% of the of 1 crore is stocks and debtors, and these are not realizable. Okay. So 80 lakhs is not realizable. Further, the cashier of the company has committed a fraud during year, but these facts are not reflected in financial statements. तो कैशियर ने कोई फ्रॉड भी किया है, लेकिन ये फैक्ट डिस्क्लोज नहीं है फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स में. सो देयरफॉर सीए ताज is of the view that impact of both the situation is material and pervasive, and thus the financial statements represented distorted view of state of affairs of the company. So when the auditor concludes that effects of misstatements are both material and pervasive, then he shall express an adverse opinion. So what has happened in this case? In this case, stocks and debtors representing 80% of total assets are not realizable. So it means that the company has not made adequate provisions and it is impacting the profits of the company. So the operational results of the company are not reliable at all. These may be showing profits when in fact these should have reflected losses. Yes, and cashier of the company has also committed a fraud, and this important point has not been disclosed in the financial statements. No provision has been made, no disclosure is there. So therefore the effects of financial statements are both, effect of misstatements are both material and pervasive. These are impacting many elements of financial statements, like these are impacting inventories, these are impacting different trade receivables, these are impacting profits, and the fraud incident of fraud is also impacting profits, and it has not been disclosed also. So in such a situation, the auditor concludes that effect of material misstatements are both material and pervasive. Yes, Harmisha, is it clear to you? Yes, Harmisha, is it clear to you now? Yes, disclaimer of opinion. Now, third category is disclaimer of opinion. The auditor shall disclaim the opinion when auditor is unable to obtain audit evidence and he concludes that possible effects on the financial statements of undetected misstatements could be both material and pervasive. So students, अगर ऑडिटर इस पोजीशन में है कि उसको कोई he has not been able to obtain audit evidence, कि वो audit evidence उसे मिला ही नहीं, मैनेजमेंट ने से कॉपरेट नहीं किया, मैनेजमेंट ने आपको इन्वेंट्री वेरिफिकेशन की अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं दी, आपको कॉपरेट नहीं किया, दे आर मेकिंग एक्सक्यूजेस, आपको ट्रेड रिसीवेबल्स की के लिए कंफर्मेशन भेजने के लिए एड्रेसेस प्रोवाइड नहीं कराए, द मैनेजमेंट इज नॉट कोऑपरेटिव. सो उस कंडीशन में क्या है, उस कंडीशन में you are not able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence, and if you conclude that undetected misstatements, because you have not been able to find out misstatements, because misstatements would be found on the basis of audit evidence. So you here it is stated that if the auditor concludes that effect of undetected misstatements could be so huge, so significant, that it could be both material and pervasive. So in such case, the auditor shall express a disclaimer. He would disclaim the opinion. He would disclaim the opinion. So clear, students? So the auditor shall disclaim an opinion when in extremely rare circumstances involving multiple uncertainties, the auditor concludes that notwithstanding sufficient appropriate audit evidence regarding each of the individual uncertainties, it is not possible to form an opinion on the financial statements as a whole. So the auditor concludes that there are many factors impacting his opinion and there are multiple uncertainties and he is not able to obtain audit evidence in respect of all of these factors. So in such a situation, he would express a disclaimer of the opinion. Okay, so the table here, it also summarizes all these points. So the circumstances where the auditor has to express a qualified opinion, the circumstances where the auditor has to express a adverse opinion, and the circumstances where the auditor has to express disclaimer of opinion. So अंकुर, एक बार पढ़ने से समझ में नहीं आएगा, आप इसको बार बार पढ़ें तो आपको समझ में आएगा. परवेसिव आप इतना समझ लीजिए, जबकि आप कोई मिस स्टेटमेंट ढूंढते हैं और उसका इफेक्ट जो है लिमिटेड नहीं है, उसका इफेक्ट पूरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स की पिक्चर को आपकी खराब कर रहा है, डिस्टॉर्ट कर रहा है, तो उसमें उस चीज को हम कहते हैं कि वो परवेसिव है, उसका इफेक्ट परवेसिव है, सब जगह फैला हुआ है, एक जगह तक रुका हुआ नहीं है. सपोज अगर किसी एंटिटी ने अपनी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स बनाते हुए किसी कॉन्टिंजेंट लाइबिलिटी को डिस्क्लोज नहीं किया, अगेन आई एम गिविंग यू अनदर एग्जांपल, किसी कॉन्टिंजेंट लाइबिलिटी को डिस्क्लोज नहीं किया, कोई बहुत ह्यूज भी वो कॉन्टिंजेंट लाइबिलिटी नहीं है, लेकिन हम ये समझ के चलते हैं कि मटेरियल है, तो क्या उसका इफेक्ट परवेसिव होगा फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स पे? फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स पे उसका इफेक्ट परवेसिव नहीं होना चाहिए, क्योंकि वो ऑपरेशनल रिजल्ट्स को इंपैक्ट नहीं कर रही, डिफरेंट जो आइटम्स हैं फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स की उसको इंपैक्ट नहीं कर रही, और उसकी नेचर खाली की खाली अभी वो कॉन्टिंजेंट लाइबिलिटी ही है, उसकी नेचर ही ऐसी है कि अभी पता नहीं वो लाइबिलिटी मेटीरियलाइज भी होगी या नहीं होगी. तो इस केस में वो परवेसिव नहीं है, उसका इफेक्ट परवेसिव नहीं है. लेकिन जैसे कि अभी हमने इलिस्ट्रेशन में समझा कि डेटर्स कंपनी के रियलाइजेबल नहीं है, इन्वेंट्री कंपनी की रियलाइजेबल नहीं है, कंपनी ने उसका कोई प्रोविजन नहीं किया है, कंपनी में फ्रॉड हो गया है, उसका कोई उसकी कोई एडजस्टमेंट नहीं है, तो जो कंपनी का प्रॉफिट है, वो जो कंपनी का ऑपरेशनल रिजल्ट्स हैं वो प्रॉपर नहीं है, वो डिस्टॉर्टेड पिक्चर रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं. इस कंडीशन में हम कहते हैं कि जो मिस स्टेटमेंट्स के इफेक्ट हैं वो परवेसिव हैं. Yes. Clear? Yes, Suman. Yes, you are saying rightly. So hope अंकुर आपको डाउट आपका थोड़ा क्लियर हो गया होगा, लेकिन आप इसको जब 2-3 बार पढ़ेंगे तो और क्लैरिटी आएगी. अंकुर टेल मी. So, students, so opinion, modification of opinion depends upon two types of things. Modification of opinion depends upon two type of things. One is nature of matter giving rise to modification, and another is auditor's judgment whether the misstatement is pervasive or whether its possible effects are pervasive or not. So opinion is dependent upon these two things. So here again, students, you can remember this from table. It is a good table for remembering. So it provides you an overview of the circumstances where the auditor has to express a qualified opinion, adverse opinion, or disclaimer of opinion. Okay. Say when the financial statements are materially misstated, but the effects are material but not pervasive. So the auditor shall give a qualified opinion. So the auditor has obtained audit evidence, and on the basis of which he concludes that financial statements are materially misstated, but their effects are material but not pervasive. So he will express a qualified opinion. But if he concludes that effects are both material and pervasive, then he will express an adverse opinion. Clear? And if he is unable to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence at all, then if he thinks that effects of possible effects of undetected misstatements could be material but not pervasive, so he will express a qualified opinion. But in case he has not been able to obtain audit evidence but concludes that possible effects of undetected misstatements are both material and pervasive, then he shall express a disclaimer of opinion. Yes, Sushil, probably you have joined late. So disclaimer means when a situation when I am not in a position to express the opinion. Like say you are reading a story or you are watching a movie. So movie start होने से पहले कई बार स्क्रीन पे आता नहीं है डिस्क्लेमर कि दिस इज ये सत्य घटनाओं पे आधारित है, लेकिन हम इसकी कोई रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी नहीं लेते, दीज टाइप ऑफ थिंग्स। वो क्या है? वो डिस्क्लेमर है। ऐसे ही ओपिनियन का भी डिस्क्लेमर है कि ऐसी सिचुएशन जहां पे ऑडिटर अपना ओपिनियन डिस्क्लेम करता है, वो कहता है कि क्योंकि मेरे को ऑडिट एविडेंस मिला नहीं, सो आई एम नॉट इन ए पोजीशन टू एक्सप्रेस माय ओपिनियन, सो देयरफॉर आई एम डिस्क्लेमिंग माय ओपिनियन। डिस्क्लेमर। यस। यस सुशील, इज इट क्लियर टू यू? Yes, Sushil, is it clear to you the meaning of term disclaimer? It is to be understood in this sense. Now, students, what happens? What happens, say, when the auditor has accepted the engagement and the auditor, after accepting the engagement, the auditor is unable to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence due to a limitation imposed by management. Now, what is meaning of you can say management imposed limitation? So like we were talking about that management is not allowing you to do certain things, uh, like for conducting audit, you had to send confirmation requests to trade receivables, or you want access to certain persons, you want access to certain records, but the management is not allowing you to do such things. So what they are doing right now, they have imposed a limitation on your work. So is that acceptable? क्या वो एक्सेप्टेबल है स्टूडेंट्स? अगर आपने ऑडिट एक्सेप्ट कर लिया और उसके बाद मैनेजमेंट आपको कोई रिकॉर्ड नहीं दिखा रही, या जो आपके ऑडिट प्रोसीजर्स जरूरी हैं आपको करने के लिए, उसमें वो आपको कोऑपरेट नहीं कर रही, या उसमें वो टाला मटोली कर रही है मैनेजमेंट, सो वुड इट बी प्रॉपर? आपके पास तो फिर एज एन ऑडिटर आपके पास क्या पॉसिबिलिटी बचती है? यस, इन चीजों को हम कहते हैं कि दीज आर मैनेजमेंट इम्पोज्ड लिमिटेशंस, दैट मैनेजमेंट इज ट्राइंग टू रिस्ट्रिक्ट स्कोप ऑफ ऑडिटर्स वर्क. सो मेरा तो एज एन ऑडिटर काम है टू एक्सप्रेस ओपिनियन ऑन द फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स, और उस ओपिनियन को एक्सप्रेस करने के लिए मेरे को ये सारे प्रोसीजर्स करने पड़ते हैं. उस ओपिनियन को एक्सप्रेस करने के लिए मेरे को ऑडिट एविडेंस ऑब्टेन करना पड़ता है. ऑडिट एविडेंस कैसे ऑब्टेन होता है? और ऑडिट प्रोसीजर से. सो अगर मैनेजमेंट ऐसी कंडीशंस क्रिएट कर रही है कि जिससे कि मैं अपने ऑडिट प्रोसीजर्स ही प्रॉपरली नहीं कर पा रहा हूं, और जिससे कि जो सफिशिएंट अप्रोप्रिएट ऑडिट एविडेंस है जो मेरे को मिलना चाहिए, दैट आई एम नॉट एबल टू ऑब्टेन, आई एम नॉट गेटिंग कंफर्ट, आई एम नॉट गेटिंग एश्योरेंस. सो इन सच these are examples of management imposed limitations. Yes, these are not acceptable. Shubham, you are saying yes. So in such circumstances, what the auditor should do? So if after accepting the engagement, the auditor becomes aware that management has imposed a limitation on the scope of audit that the auditor considers is likely to result in the need to express a qualified opinion or disclaim an opinion, the auditor shall request the management to remove that limitation. So this is the first step. So students, जो भी आप एसेज में आपने अभी तक एक पैटर्न देखा होगा कि हर एक एसे में पहले सीधा एकदम फाइनल कंक्लूजन नहीं है, पहले एक अपॉर्चुनिटी प्रोवाइड की जाती है. हर एक एसे में यही पैटर्न है कि मान लो आपने एंगेजमेंट एक्सेप्ट कर ली, आपने ऑडिट एंगेजमेंट एक्सेप्ट कर ली, और उसके बाद आपने कुछ काम कर लिया और आपको पता चलता है कि मैनेजमेंट हैज इम्पोज्ड लिमिटेशन ऑन योर स्कोप ऑफ वर्क. लिमिटेशन का मतलब समझ में आ गया आपको? अभी जो मैंने आपको बताया था कि मैनेजमेंट आपसे कोऑपरेट नहीं कर रही, प्रॉपर रिकॉर्ड्स नहीं प्रोवाइड कर रही, आपको ऑडिट प्रोसीजर्स में है जो आपने करने हैं उसमें वो दिक्कतें पैदा कर रही है, उसमें उसको फैसिलिटेट नहीं कर रही. तो अगर ऐसी सिचुएशन में ऑडिटर को लगता है कि उसको क्वालिफाइड ओपिनियन देना पड़ेगा या डिस्क्लेमर ओपिनियन देना पड़ेगा, सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल द ऑडिटर वुड रिक्वेस्ट द मैनेजमेंट टू रिमूव दैट लिमिटेशन. सीधा उसको किसी कंक्लूजन में नहीं पहुंच जाएगा ऑडिटर. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल he will ask the management to remove that limitation. So if after accepting the engagement the auditor becomes aware of certain limitation which has been imposed by the management on the scope of audit, so and the auditor considers that it is likely that it would result in uh, finally in the form of a qualified opinion or in the form of a disclaimer of opinion, then the auditor shall ask the management to remove that limitation. पहले तो उसको ये कहेगा कि भैया ये आप ठीक करिए, इसको आप मेरे को रिकॉर्ड्स दिखाइए या आप इसको फैसिलिटेट करिए, जो भी प्रोसीजर में दिक्कत आ रही है. ही वुड आस्क द मैनेजमेंट टू रिमूव दैट लिमिटेशन. नाउ सेकंड स्टेप, if the management doesn't remove the limitation, if the management refuses to remove the limitation, the auditor shall communicate the matter to TCWG to determine whether it is possible to perform alternative procedures to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. तो स्टूडेंट्स आपने ये भी देखा होगा कि सारे एसेज में अगर जो एसे में लिखा है अगर आप वैसे नहीं कर सकते तो एक ऑप्शन है कि ऑल्टरनेटिव प्रोसीजर्स से आप सफिशिएंट अप्रोप्रिएट ऑडिट एविडेंस ले सकते हैं. अगर तो आपको सफिशिएंट अप्रोप्रिएट ऑडिट एविडेंस ऑल्टरनेटिव प्रोसीजर से मिल रहा है, देन इट्स गुड एनफ. जैसे सपोज जब हमने SA 501 पढ़ा था स्टूडेंट्स, तो उसमें भी था, रिमेंबर SA 501, कि इफ द ऑडिटर इज नॉट एबल टू to attend physical inventory count due to unforeseen circumstances, then he shall attend it at some other date and perform procedures or in the intervening period, or in case where he is not able to it is impracticable to attend physical inventory count, then he shall perform alternative procedures. He shall try to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence by performing alternative procedures. So similarly, if it is possible to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence by performing alternative procedures, then the auditor shall perform those alternative procedures. However, now number 3, if the auditor is not able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence, the auditor shall determine the implications as follows. Number 1, if the auditor concludes that possible effects on financial statements of undetected misstatements could be material but not pervasive, then he shall qualify the opinion. And if the auditor concludes that possible effects of undetected misstatements are both material and pervasive, so that a qualification of opinion would not reflect the gravity of the situation, that the situation is so serious that expression of qualified opinion would not be justified. So in such circumstances, the auditor shall withdraw from the audit. And if withdrawal is not possible under law, then he shall disclaim the opinion. Okay. So clear, students? So if there is a management imposed limitation, if there is a limitation which is imposed by the management, so the auditor shall, first of all, he shall ask the management to remove that limitation. If management doesn't remove that limitation, the auditor shall perform alternative procedures to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. If the auditor is unable to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence, then auditor shall determine that if the effects are material but not pervasive, then he shall express a qualified opinion. तो qualified opinion तक तो ठीक है, but if he thinks that qualified opinion would not serve the purpose, then he shall withdraw from the audit if it is possible under the law. If it is not possible under the law to withdraw from audit, then he shall express a disclaimer. So अगर मैं उस असाइनमेंट को छोड़ ही नहीं सकता, अगर लॉ में कुछ ऐसा लिखा हुआ है, तो मेरे पास कोई और ऑप्शन नहीं बचती देन टू गिव ए डिस्क्लेमर ऑफ ओपिनियन. And if it is possible to withdraw under law, then I shall withdraw from the engagement. Okay. Yes. Yes, Sanjana, obviously he would communicate in writing. He would communicate in writing with the management. So if the auditor withdraws, before withdrawing, he shall communicate to TCWG regarding misstatements identified during the audit that would have given rise to modification of opinion. So if he withdraws, he would also state that these are my observations, and these are the misstatements which would have prompted me to give a modified opinion. Therefore, I am withdrawing. Okay. Yes, now you can read this test your understanding 3 question. CA Saras Bhai Patel, while conducting audit of an entity, feels there is atmosphere of non-cooperation all around. He has not been provided with necessary support for attending inventory count process. Besides, CFO of the company is not providing him present addresses of the customers. So management is totally non-cooperative. उसको ना तो प्रेजेंट एड्रेसेस बताए हैं और ना इन्वेंट्री अकाउंट प्रोसेस के लिए सपोर्ट दी है कुछ भी, और वो रेवेन्यूज भी वेरीफाई नहीं कर पाया क्योंकि उसको कंप्लीट डिटेल ही प्रोवाइड नहीं की है. एक्सपेंसेस के लिए उसको प्रॉपर आपको उसके बिल फाइल्स वगैरह भी नहीं दिखाई, और जो स्टाफ है कंपनी का वो बहानेबाजी कर रहे हैं. द मैटर वॉज ब्रॉट टू द हाई लेवल ऑफ मैनेजमेंट बट ऑफ नो अवेल, लेकिन उससे भी कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ा. सो ऑडिटर हैज कंक्लूडेड दैट effects would be material and affecting many aspects of the financial statements. Assuming it is not possible to withdraw from the engagement, so what type of opinion should be expressed by the auditor? Yes, guys. Assume that it is not possible to withdraw from the engagement under the law, but the auditor has to give his audit report. So what type of opinion should be expressed by him? Yes, anyone? Yes, Bhumika, yes, you are right. Disclaimer. Yes, Vaishali, Harmisha, Parth, Subhasri, all of you are writing correctly. He would express a disclaimer. So again, this is the chart shown here. Now, students, form and content of auditor's report. When an opinion is modified by the auditor. So students, remember in SA 700 we had learnt about the structure of the audit report, its form and content. So क्या पढ़ा था स्टूडेंट्स हमने SA 700 में कि सबसे पहले ऊपर हेडिंग होती है इंडिपेंडेंट ऑडिटर्स रिपोर्ट, देन अड्रेसी किसको एड्रेस की गई है, उसके बाद कौन सा पैराग्राफ आता है, उसके बाद ओपिनियन पैराग्राफ आता है, और ओपिनियन पैराग्राफ के बाद कौन सा पैराग्राफ आता है, बेसिस फॉर ओपिनियन. सो अगर ऑडिटर स्टूडेंट्स से मॉडिफाइड ओपिनियन देता है, से वो क्वालिफाइड ओपिनियन देता है, तो ओपिनियन पैराग्राफ क्या वो वैसे ही ओपिनियन लिखेगा? नहीं, वो उसकी जगह उस पैराग्राफ की हेडिंग क्या करेगा? He would change the heading from opinion to qualified opinion. क्योंकि अब वो ओपिनियन अनमॉडिफाइड नहीं रहा, तो यूजर्स को क्लियर कट मैसेज देने के लिए कि अब मेरा ओपिनियन, खाली ओपिनियन लिखने से ये मैसेज जाता है कि ये अनमॉडिफाइड ओपिनियन है, और अब वो हेडिंग उसकी चेंज करेगा, उसमें लिखेगा ये क्वालिफाइड ओपिनियन है. इसी तरह जो बेसिस फॉर ओपिनियन है उसमें भी वो लिखेगा बेसिस फॉर क्वालिफाइड ओपिनियन. अगर एडवर्स ओपिनियन देगा तो उसमें क्वालिफाइड की जगह लिखेगा एडवर्स ओपिनियन, और बेसिस फॉर एडवर्स ओपिनियन, लाइक दैट. ओके, यस सुमन गोयल, you are ahead of the time. Yes, very fast. Yes, Devraj, disclaimer means not to express the opinion. वो अपना ओपिनियन दे ही नहीं रहा. वो कहता है भाई मैं इस पोजीशन में ही नहीं हूं कि मैं अपना ओपिनियन दूं, क्योंकि मेरे को कोई एविडेंस मिला ही नहीं जिससे मैं अपना कंक्लूजन बना पाऊं. सो देयरफॉर आई एम डिस्क्लेमिंग माय ओपिनियन. ओके, सो रिमेंबर, जब ऑडिटर मॉडिफाइड ओपिनियन देता है तो वो ओपिनियन पैराग्राफ की हेडिंग भी चेंज करता है, और बेसिस फॉर ओपिनियन पैराग्राफ की भी हेडिंग चेंज करता है. क्लियर स्टूडेंट्स? और जब when the auditor gives a qualified opinion due to material misstatement in financial statements, the auditor shall state that in the auditor's opinion, except for the effects of the matters described in the basis for qualified opinion section, the financial statements reflect a true and fair view. So what does he say? That except for effect of those matters which are stated in the basis for qualified opinion paragraph, the financial statements are reflected true and fair view, or these have been prepared fairly in all material respects with applicable financial reporting framework. Any of these terms, as we had learned in our last class, that both of these terms are equivalent and both of these terms are on the same footing. These are okay. Okay. Yes, Parth, you are right. No, Prince, unmodified and qualified opinion are not same. Unmodified opinion means total complete check, and qualified opinion means that there are certain matters which needs some comments, which needs certain reservations, except for these matters. उन सब matters को छोड़ के opinion ठीक है, उन सब matters को छोड़ के जो फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स हैं वो ट्रू एंड फेयर व्यू दे रही हैं, उन मैटर्स के इफेक्ट को छोड़ के फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स ट्रू एंड फेयर व्यू दे रही हैं. क्लियर स्टूडेंट्स? So students, now see what we have studied right now. Okay. So I am showing you audit report where qualified opinion is given by the auditors. So look. Now report on audit of standalone financial statements, qualified opinion. So this is the report of a company. So the auditors have given a qualified opinion. So heading of the opinion para is what? It is qualified opinion. It is not opinion only. It is qualified opinion as required in SA 705. Yes. So what do the auditors state here? In our opinion and to the best of our information and according to the explanations given to us, except for the effects of matter, described in basis for qualified opinion section. उन मैटर्स को छोड़ के जो कि हमारे बेसिस फॉर क्वालिफाइड ओपिनियन में लिखे गए हैं, द फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स गिव ए ट्रू एंड फेयर व्यू ऑफ द स्टेट ऑफ अफेयर्स ऑफ द कंपनी. उन मैटर्स को छोड़ के. सो द वर्डिंग हैज टू बी सच. एंड व्हाट आर दोज मैटर्स? These are such matters which are stated in basis for qualified opinion. इनके इफेक्ट्स को छोड़ के जो इस पैराग्राफ में मैटर्स लिखे हैं, इनके इफेक्ट्स को छोड़ के जो फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स हैं वो ट्रू एंड फेयर व्यू रिफ्लेक्ट करती हैं स्टेट ऑफ अफेयर्स का. सो when an auditor expresses a qualified opinion, the heading of the opinion paragraph would also change and the wording would also change, and the basis for opinion paragraph heading would also change to basis for qualified opinion. Yes guys, is it clear? Yes students, is it clear? So similarly, when an yes, Nagwala Murugan, you are saying qualified opinion is good compared to adverse and disclaimer. Yes, yes, you are thinking right. Murugan, you are thinking right. So qualified opinion is lower degree of modification as compared to adverse and disclaimer. Adverse and disclaimer are both higher degrees. Adverse means when the financial statements do not reflect true and fair view. In qualified opinion, we say that financial statements reflect true and fair view, but subject to effect certain. But still, these reflect true and fair view. Yes. Yes, Morgan, is it clear to you? Yes, you are thinking correctly, Morgan. So adverse opinion, when an auditor expresses adverse opinion, the auditor shall state that because of the significance of matters described in the basis for adverse opinion section. the financial statements do not reflect a true and fair view. So when an auditor expresses adverse opinion, he would again change the heading of the para, opinion para, to adverse opinion para. And he would also change the heading of the basis of opinion to basis for adverse opinion. Yes, Suman, you are also right. And while expressing adverse opinion, he would state that because of the significance of matters described in the basis for adverse opinion section, he would report that financial statements do not present fairly or do not give a true and fair view in accordance with the financial reporting framework. Okay. So, but when an auditor expresses disclaimer of opinion due to inability to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence, the auditor shall, so these are certain steps which the auditor has to take. Steps which auditor has to take care of. While expressing a disclaimer of opinion. So when an auditor expresses disclaimer of opinion, he shall take care of the following things. First point is he would state that the auditor does not express an opinion on the accompanying financial statements. He shall clearly state that, look, I am not in a position to express opinion on financial statements, that therefore I am not expressing an opinion on financial statements. State that because of the significance of the matters described in the basis for disclaimer of opinion para, so जब वो disclaimer of opinion देगा तो उसका basis तो उसको देना ही है ना. Basis तो ऐसे 700 के अकॉर्डिंग चाहे आप कोई सा भी ओपिनियन दे रहे हो, बेसिस फॉर ओपिनियन पैराग्राफ तो यू हैव टू प्रोवाइड. ओके, सो स्टेट दैट बिकॉज ऑफ द significance of matter described in the basis for disclaimer of opinion section, the auditor has been unable to obtain sufficient appropriate evidence to provide a basis for audit opinion on the financial statements. So he would state that he has not been able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence due to following reasons. Okay. And most important thing, he would amend the statement as required by SA 700, which indicates that the financial statements have been audited, to state that auditor was engaged to audit the financial statements. Now that is very important, students. So if you see the audit report, students, if we see audit report, we know that the auditor, when he gives the opinion, he first line which he writes in the opinion section is, we have audited the accompanying financial statements. So he's writing such line, we have audited the accompanying financial statements of this company. Now when he is disclaiming the opinion, so he would change this line. So how he would write now? Now he would write that we were engaged to audit the accompanying standalone financial statements, because because he has not obtained the audit evidence. He has not obtained sufficient appropriate audit evidence. So therefore, if he writes that we have conducted the audit, so it would mislead, it has the possibility of misleading the users. So therefore, when an auditor when the auditor expresses disclaimer of opinion, so he would state, we have been engaged to conduct audit of this company. When he is expressing disclaimer, he would not write that we have audited. As a measure of abundant caution, as a measure of prudence, he would write that we have been engaged to conduct the audit. Okay. Yes, Anmol, you are writing, auditor is so humble that first he requests management for any situation. Yes, it is how essays operate. Say Anmol, you have also to understand, it is not a question of only humbleness. It is also a question of providing another party a chance, an opportunity. So sometimes, say, if the auditor takes some independent decision without taking into confidence management, without taking into confidence, without talking with them, without communicating with them, or without bringing to their knowledge certain facts, so it is quite possible that auditor may not have complete picture before him, and he is not taking proper decisions. That had he talked to the management, had he communicated with the management, certain other facts could have come to his light, or the management could have resolved the situation. So that is why essays normally ask the auditor to communicate with the management, to bring to their attention anything which he finds. First, bring to their attention. First, give them an opportunity to respond. So let us see what is their response, and then we shall take appropriate action. So अगर मैं सीधा ही कोई अप्रोप्रिएट एक्शन ले लेता हूं, तो कल को अगले सामने वाला आदमी वो ये बात कह सकता है कि हमें तो बताया ही नहीं, हम तो इस मैटर को रिजॉल्व कर देते. यस अनमोल, इज इट क्लियर टू यू? यस अनमोल पटवा, इज इट क्लियर टू यू? Yes, Suman, you are saying, is it possible for faculty to put a MCQ bank or modified existing MCQ bank? Okay. So if there are some questions in MCQ bank which pertain to old syllabus, you can bring it to light of Board of Studies, Suman, and you can talk to Rajiv sir by pinpointing such questions, which pertain to old syllabus. You can pinpoint to him. He would make arrangements to remove those questions. Yes. Yes, Ravina, Happy New Year, and you are late by more than 1 hour, and probably you were partying hard last night. No, Manish, you are saying after disclaim by one auditor can come. No, no, no. He cannot go for some other auditor. It is not like that. Disclaimer is a form of opinion. The auditor has expressed the opinion. क्लियर स्टूडेंट्स? सो ये सब चीजें हमने कर ली कि बेसिस फॉर ओपिनियन पैराग्राफ, अगर ऑडिटर so when you talk to him, Suman, tell him exact number of question, tell him exact serial number of question which pertains to old syllabus, and that chapter might not be in your current syllabus. Okay. Amend the heading basis for opinion section to basis for qualified opinion, basis for adverse opinion, or basis for disclaimer of opinion. And within this section, include a description of the matter giving rise to such modification. So, yes, Devraj, old syllabus was applicable till November 23 exams. Now from May 24 exam, certain changes have been made. Few chapters have been added and some chapters have been removed. Okay. So for May 24 exams, what is the syllabus, what you are studying right now? This is the new syllabus. It is not completely the new syllabus. Most of the chapters are still same. 1-2 chapters have been added, some new topics have been added, and 1-2 chapters have been removed. Okay. So if there is material misstatement of the financial statement that relates to specific amounts in the financial statements, the auditor shall include in the basis for opinion section a description and quantification of the financial effects of misstatements. So अगर कोई मिसस्टेटमेंट रिलेट करती है अमाउंट से, फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट के अमाउंट से, तो बेसिस फॉर ओपिनियन पैराग्राफ में उसका क्वांटिफिकेशन भी जरूरी है. से एज एन ऑडिटर आई हैव फाउंड दैट इन्वेंट्री हैज बीन से अंडर वैल्यूड बाय 10 lakhs. Okay, so I would write in the basis for opinion paragraph that inventory has been undervalued by rupees 10 lakh and having impacts of rupees this on the profits of the company. Okay. So if it is not practicable to quantify the financial effect, the auditor shall state this in this section. It can, however, there can be situations when there is little practicability, or when it is not practicable to quantify the financial effects. So the auditor shall state in this section that it is not possible for us to quantify those facts, those effects. So if there is a material misstatement of the financial statements that relates to disclosures, the auditor shall include in the basis for opinion section an explanation of how the disclosures are misstated. So if there is a misstatement relating to disclosures, then the auditor shall state in basis for opinion para that how these disclosures are wrong. He would state that how these disclosures are misstated. He would explain to the users. Okay. And if there is a material misstatement that relates to non-disclosure of financial information, the auditor shall discuss the non-disclosure with TCWG, describe in the basis or opinion section the nature of omission. So obviously, if something which was required to be disclosed has not been disclosed, then it becomes auditor's responsibility to first discuss that non-disclosure with the management and describe in the basis for opinion section the nature of such omission which has not been disclosed. Okay. Unless prohibited by law, include the omitted disclosure provided it is practicable to do so and auditor has obtained sufficient appropriate audit evidence about the omitted information. So if some information has been omitted, then include it provided the auditor has obtained audit evidence regarding such omitted information. And where the modification results because of the auditor's inability to obtain a sufficient approach, then auditor shall also explain in the basis for opinion section the reasons for that inability. उसको ये भी बताना है कि वो क्यों वो ऑडिट एविडेंस नहीं ऑब्टेन कर पाया, क्या मैनेजमेंट की वजह से है या किसी और वजह से है. Why what is the reason that he has not been able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence? He has to state that inability also. He shall include that inability in the basis for opinion section. Okay. So this we have already done. So when the auditor expresses a qualified or adverse opinion, he shall change the heading of the para, auditor's opinion para, from opinion to qualified opinion or adverse opinion. Okay. And this is important thing regarding disclaimer of opinion. Now, when auditor expresses disclaimer, following things shall not be included in the audit report. Following things shall not be included in the audit report. Number one, a reference to the section of auditor's report where the auditor's responsibilities are described. क्योंकि स्टूडेंट्स जब ऑडिटर डिस्क्लेमर दे रहा है तो उसकी ऑडिटर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी डिस्क्राइब करने का लॉजिक नहीं रह जाता, क्योंकि उसमें तो वो यही लिखता है कि मेरा काम जो है रीजनेबल एश्योरेंस ऑब्टेन करना है, गारंटी देना नहीं है. तो जब वो डिस्क्लेम ही ओपिनियन कर रहा है अपना, तो इन बातों का क्या मतलब रह जाता है. A statement about whether audit evidence obtained is sufficient and appropriate. तो ये भी, क्योंकि जब ओपिनियन ऑडिटर देता है तो ये वो लिखता है कि आई हैव ऑब्टेन्ड सफिशिएंट अप्रोप्रिएट ऑडिट एविडेंस, लेकिन जब वो डिस्क्लेमर देगा तो वो ऐसी लैंग्वेज यूज नहीं करेगा. ओके. Yes, Harmisha, you were saying, can you explain point C on page 8.45? Yes. Yes, point C means that, say, if the modification is due to non-disclosure of some information, then auditor shall include the omitted disclosure. And the, say, something which was required to be disclosed, but it is not disclosed in the financial statements, then the auditor shall, while describing in the basis for opinion section, the auditor shall include that omitted information which was required to be disclosed but which has not been disclosed, provided he knows that this was the information which was required to be disclosed. He has obtained sufficient appropriate audit evidence regarding such omitted information. He should be correct now. He should be doubly sure that this information which now I am disclosing is proper. So this is the meaning of sufficient appropriate audit evidence here. Yes, Harmisha, is it okay? So when an auditor disclaims an opinion on financial statements due to inability to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence, the auditor shall amend the description of auditor's responsibility to include only the following. So जब ऑडिटर डिस्क्लेम ओपिनियन कर रहा है, तो पहली बात तो ऑडिटर रिपोर्ट में क्या लिखेगा? He would include a statement that his responsibility is to conduct an audit of financial statements and issue an auditor's report. He would not write that he has conducted the audit. Again, the same thing which we have discussed a few minutes before, that he would state that his responsibility is to conduct the audit of financial statements in accordance with essays and issue an auditor's report. He would avoid such type of statement that we have conducted the audit of financial statements. And he would state that because of matters described in the basis of disclaimer of opinion section, he was unable to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. तो बेसिस फॉर डिस्क्लेमर ओपिनियन, तो पैराग्राफ उसको देना ही है, तो उसमें वो लिखेगा कि बिकॉज ऑफ दीज रीजंस आई हैव बीन अनेबल टू obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence, that is why I am disclaiming the opinion. See the statement about auditor's independence and ethical responsibilities. So these are the things which he shall take care. So considerations when the auditor disclaims an opinion. So students, when auditor disclaims an opinion, he shall not include a key audit matter section in accordance with SA 701. So we had learned in SA 700 that auditor also states key audit matters, and these key audit matters are mandatory to be stated in case of listed entities in accordance with SA 701. However, when an auditor disclaims the opinion, when he is in a position not to express the opinion, so he shall not include a key audit matter section. क्योंकि जब आप इसी पोजीशन में ही नहीं हो कि आपने सफिशिएंट एप्रोप्रिएट ऑडिट एविडेंस आपको मिला है, तो आप की ऑडिट मैटर सेक्शन में क्या दोगे? की ऑडिट मैटर सेक्शन में तो वो आप चीजें देते हो जो कि आपके पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से इंपॉर्टेंट है और आपने उसके बारे में ऑडिट प्रोसीजर्स परफॉर्म किए हैं, आपने उन मैटर्स को प्रॉपरली रिस्पॉन्ड किया है. तो जब आपको ऑडिट एविडेंस ही नहीं मिला, तो की ऑडिट मैटर्स पैराग्राफ की कोई रेलिवेंस नहीं रह जाती है उसमें। जब आप ओपिनियन डिस्क्लेम ही करने जा रहे हो तो आप की ऑडिट मैटर्स कैसे लिख सकते हो उसमें कि मैंने ये मैटर्स मेरे ऑडिट में की ऑडिट मैटर्स थे, और अब जो है मैंने इसके बारे में ये प्रोसीजर्स किए, ये एविडेंस ऑब्टेन किए। जब आपको एविडेंस ही नहीं मिला तो इसीलिए ये रिक्वायरमेंट है कि जब आप डिस्क्लेम ओपिनियन करोगे तो आप ऑडिट रिपोर्ट में ये की ऑडिट मैटर्स वाला पैराग्राफ नहीं इंक्लूड करेंगे। Clear, students? So communication with those charged with governance. So when the auditor expects to modify the opinion, the auditor shall communicate. So ये तो कोई भी है, कोई भी आपकी सिग्निफिकेंट फाइंडिंग है जैसे कि हमने पढ़ा है, वो ऑडिटर को कम्युनिकेट करनी होती है। तो उसी कॉन्टेक्स्ट में जब आप अपना ओपिनियन मॉडिफाई करने जा रहे हो तो उससे पहले भी आप मैनेजमेंट के साथ, टीसीडब्ल्यूजी के साथ आप कम्युनिकेट करेंगे कि ये सर्कमस्टांसिस है जिसकी वजह से मैं जो है अपना ओपिनियन मॉडिफाई करने जा रहा हूं और जिसका कि ये कंटेंट है। ओके। यस। Shubham, you are writing when we are not including all these headings in audit report. Is there any relevance of that report? So Shubham, you have to understand, like you were engaged to conduct audit of an entity. You have accepted the audit. You have accepted the engagement. But now, after spending some time, after performing some procedures, you conclude that you are not in a position to express your opinion. The situation is such that you are likely to disclaim the opinion. Now, if the law doesn't allow you to disclaim, if the law doesn't allow you to withdraw from the engagement, then in any case you would have to submit a report. If withdrawal is possible, then it is okay. But if withdrawal is not possible, then what will happen? You cannot leave the midway without providing a report. So, therefore, there is a requirement for disclaimer of opinion that look, the auditor however, he is going to conclude some way. Na? So what we had studied in chapter 1, what is the outcome of an audit? Outcome of an audit is audit report. And audit report has to be written. So if the management is not cooperating or the circumstances are such, which we have studied right now, that auditor cannot issue an opinion, he is not able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence, then there are requirements for him to disclaim his opinion through the means of a written audit report. Okay. So, but when he issues a disclaimer, he has to take care of certain things so that users of the financial statements, they clearly know that auditor has disclaimed his opinion and he is not assuming responsibilities which he assumes in normal course while doing audit. So this is all the significance, this is all the importance of this. Yes. Yes, Manish, you are saying when written representations, if the auditor feels that written representations are unreliable, then the auditor shall modify the opinion. Then the auditor has to modify the opinion. This we have studied in essay 580. Yes, Harmisha, the question you are asking, it depends upon the law. It depends upon the regulatory framework. Okay. So we shall take a break of 10 minutes and we'll come back after 10 minutes. Yes, break for 10 minutes. Yes, welcome back, students. So these are the requirements, students, in case where auditor has to modify his opinion in accordance with SA 705. And do not lose sight of the basic requirements, the basic circumstances when the auditor has to modify the opinion, and what is the meaning of qualified opinion, what is the meaning of adverse opinion, what is the meaning of disclaimer of opinion, under what circumstances these three different types of opinions are required to be expressed, are required to be issued. Remember the meaning of the term pervasive. Remember what extra things have to be taken care of by the auditor when he expresses disclaimer of opinion. And also remember that when an auditor modifies his opinion, whether he gives qualified, adverse, or disclaimer, he changes the heading of opinion paragraph, and he also changes the heading of the basis for opinion paragraph. So this is the broad overview of all these requirements as contained in SA 705. Now we shall start another important essay, students. Very short essay, and overview of it is also is only in your syllabus. So this is essay 706. Essay 706. So students, essay 706 deals with two type of things, two type of paragraphs. It deals with two type of paragraphs which are included in auditor's report, and these paragraphs are known as emphasis of matter paragraph. I am writing in short as EOM paragraph, and other matter paragraph. So essay 706 deals with these two things, emphasis of matter paragraph. पहले तो इसका नाम याद कर लें, emphasis of matter paragraph, और दूसरा पैराग्राफ है other matter paragraph. Okay. So in essay 706 we shall study that what are the circumstances in which an auditor states, includes EOM paragraph, emphasis of matter paragraph, in his report, or what are the circumstances when the auditor includes other matter paragraph in his report, what are the aspects of it, what is the importance of it, what is the significance of it, why does an auditor include such a paragraph, EOM paragraph or other matter paragraph in his report. So these are the things which we shall be discussing right now. So essay 706 deals with additional communication in auditor's report. When the auditors considers it necessary to, two things it is talking about. Say if there is some matter which is already stated in financial statements, which is already presented or disclosed in financial statements, but it is of such importance that auditor feels that it is fundamental to users' understanding of financial statements. Therefore, for drawing attention of users to such important matters, which are important for the fundamental, which are basic to the user's understanding of financial statements. The auditor includes an emphasis of meta paragraph. The auditor includes an emphasis of meta paragraph. So for short, I am writing EOM paragraph. But in exams, you would be writing emphasis of meta paragraph. So as the name denotes, as the name of this paragraph signifies, it provides you a clue that it is providing emphasis on certain matters. It is putting importance on certain matters. It is highlighting certain matters. Okay. So remember that emphasis of meta paragraph is included in the audit report by the auditor to draw attention on matters which have already been presented or disclosed in the financial statements. So this is the most important thing. The auditor cannot include such matters under EOM paragraph which are not presented or disclosed in financial statements. Why? Can you tell me the reason? Yes, anyone? Anyone? So you have understood the meaning of EOM paragraph, students? That EOM paragraph is a paragraph which draws attention of users to a matter which is already disclosed or presented in the financial statements, and the auditor thinks that it is of such importance that it is fundamental to users' understanding of financial statements, that it is basic to users' and understanding of financial statements. Therefore, it is important for him to highlight it in his audit report. Although it is already disclosed, although it is already presented in the financial statements. So such a paragraph is called as EOM paragraph, emphasis of meta paragraph. Yes, students, I have asked you a question. Why it is stated here that only matters which are disclosed or which are presented in financial statements that are that would be included in emphasis of meta paragraph? Why it is written here? Yes, Suman, yes, you are right, but my question is why it is written here? Emphasis means to put emphasis on something of matters which are already disclosed in the financial statements. So why not such matters which are not disclosed in the financial statements? Why these matters can't be included in the EOM paragraph? Yes, Suman. Why such matters which are not there in financial statements, which are not disclosed or presented in financial statements, why they are not included in EOM paragraph? No, not at all. This is why, Suman, because these, the matters which are not disclosed, these may require modification. If something is not disclosed, then it may be of such a material significance that it requires a modification in the auditor's opinion. So that is why EOM paragraph includes only those matters which are already presented or disclosed in financial statements. Now, this is the most important point you have to remember, that EOM paragraph relates to only those matters which are already presented or disclosed in financial statements, and these are of such importance that they are fundamental to users' understanding of financial statements. Okay. Yes, Bhumika, you are also saying that on such audit procedures have performed. Yes, but I've explained to you the real logic behind it. And D is draw users' attention to matters other than those presented or disclosed in the financial statements that are relevant to users' understanding of audit, auditor's responsibility, or the auditor's report. So if there are such matters which are not disclosed in financial statements or presented in financial statement, but these relate to not to users' understanding, but these relate either to users' understanding of audit, users' understanding of the auditor's report, or users' understanding of auditor's responsibility, then such matters are included in other matter paragraphs. So what is the difference between these two? So we shall be dealing it with one by one. Okay. So definition of emphasis of matter paragraph. So emphasis of matter paragraph is a paragraph included in the auditor's report that refers to a matter which is already disclosed or presented in the financial statements, that in the auditor's judgment is of such importance that it is fundamental to users' understanding of financial statements. Okay. So the condition for any matter to be included in EOM paragraph is number one, that it is already presented or disclosed in financial statements, and number two, that it is of such importance that it is fundamental to users' understanding of financial statements. And what is the meaning of other matter paragraph? So other matter paragraph is a paragraph included in the auditor's report which refers to a matter which is not disclosed or presented in financial statement, but which in auditor's judgment is relevant to users' understanding of audit, auditor's responsibilities, or auditor's report. So that is the difference between the two. EOM paragraph relates to matters which are already disclosed in financial statements. Other matter paragraph refers to matters which are not disclosed in financial statements. EOM paragraph refers to those matters which are of such importance, which in auditor's judgment are fundamental to users' understanding of financial statements, whereas other matter paragraphs are those matters which are important for users' understanding of audit, for auditor's responsibilities, and for auditor's report. Any one of these. Okay. So that is the basic distinction between EOM paragraph and other matter paragraph. And SA 706 deals with these two things, emphasis of matter paragraph and other matter paragraph. So स्टूडेंट समझ में आ गए, इसको आपको 1, 2, 3 बार पढ़ना पड़ेगा और फिर जो डिस्टिंक्टिव पॉइंट है उसको रिमेंबर करना पड़ेगा. अगर आपने इन दोनों की डेफिनेशन याद कर ली तो इसमें आपका 75% काम हो गया. ठीक है. So if the auditor considers it necessary to draw users' attention to a matter which is already disclosed in financial statements, that is that if he feels that it is of sufficient importance, say there is some thing which is already disclosed in financial statements, but even then the auditor feels that I want to include it in a separate para because it is fundamental to users' understanding of financial statements. So he would include such a matter in emphasis of matter paragraph in accordance with SA 706, provided. So that provided is very important. Provided the auditor would not be required to modify the opinion as a result of the matter. कि वो ऐसा कोई मैटर नहीं है जिसमें कि ऑडिटर को ओपिनियन अपना चेंज करना पड़े, ओपिनियन मॉडिफाई करना पड़े, यानी कि क्वालिफाइड एडवर्स कुछ देना पड़े, ऐसा मैटर नहीं है. अगर कोई ऐसा मैटर है फिर तो वो क्वालिफाइड या एडवर्स देगा, उसको वो एम्फेसिस ऑफ मैटर पैराग्राफ में देके उससे अपनी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी से बच नहीं सकता. So if the opinion has to be modified, then it has to be modified in accordance with SA 705. He cannot say that this matter I have included it in EOM paragraph. No, if on some matter modification of opinion is required, then he has to give modification of opinion. Clear? And when SA 70501 applies, जो कि हम बाद में पढ़ेंगे, अगर कोई मैटर की ऑडिट मैटर है तो वो की ऑडिट मैटर सेक्शन में जाएगा, वो एम्फेसिस ऑफ मैटर में नहीं जाएगा. ठीक है स्टूडेंट्स? So when an auditor includes an EOM paragraph in auditor's report, he shall include the paragraph under a separate heading. So he shall include the paragraph under a separate heading. उस पे एक emphasis of matter करके उसमें हेडिंग देगा और उसके नीचे वो डिस्क्राइब करेगा कि क्या वो मैटर है जो कि एम्फेसिस ऑफ मैटर पैराग्राफ के अंदर है. तो इसमें व्हेन ही गिव्स he draws attention of the users of financial statements under emphasis of matter paragraph. So he gives reference to the financial statements. He gives reference to the notes of the financial statements where this matter is stated. So he is not adding something from his own. He is referring to matter which is already disclosed, which is already stated in the financial statements, but he is drawing attention of the users of the financial statements through the medium of his audit report by means of an emphasis of matter paragraph. No, Harmisha, it is not that way. SA 706 states that if there is some matter for which modification is necessary, then you can if there is certain matter for which modification of opinion is necessary, then auditor cannot escape his responsibility by including it in EOM paragraph. Okay. Include in the paragraph a clear reference to the matter being emphasized or where relevant disclosures can be found in the financial statements. So this paragraph shall refer only to information presented or disclosed in financial statements. So another important thing, that EOM paragraph shall only refer to the information stated or disclosed already in the financial statements. So this is the primary condition of some matter which is included in which is to be included in EOM paragraph, that it would state only those matters which are already included or disclosed in financial statements. Okay. And indicate that the auditor's opinion is not modified. तो ये भी उसको बताना है कि जो मैं एम्फेसिस ऑफ मैटर पैराग्राफ हाइलाइट्स कर रहा हूं, एम्फेसाइज कर रहा हूं, उसके बारे में ओपिनियन मॉडिफाइड नहीं है मेरा. My opinion is not modified in respect of this matter, not in respect of whole of the report. Yes, Harmisha. So वो सिर्फ यही बोलेगा कि इस बारे में, इस मैटर में जो मैं ईओएम पैराग्राफ में लिख रहा हूं, इस मैटर के बारे में मेरा ओपिनियन मॉडिफाइड नहीं है. ओके. एग्जाम्पल, जैसे कोई लीगल मैटर चल रहा है, कोई लिटिगेशन मैटर चल रहा है और उसके बारे में अनसर्टेनिटी है, और ये मैटर से ऑलरेडी डिस्क्लोज है आपका कॉन्टिजेंट लाइबिलिटीज में, लेकिन ऑडिटर जो है इसको एम्फेसिस ऑफ मैटर पैराग्राफ के थ्रू भी हाईलाइट करना चाहता है. द मैटर हैज ऑलरेडी बीन डिस्क्लोज्ड कि ये चल रहा है, लेकिन फिर भी ऑडिटर हाईलाइट करना चाहता है, और फिर उसमें वो क्लियर लिखेगा कि मेरा ओपिनियन इस बारे में मॉडिफाइड नहीं है. Because why? Because it has already been disclosed or presented in the financial statements, and he has obtained sufficient appropriate audit evidence regarding that what has been disclosed by the management is proper. Okay. A significant subsequent event has occurred between the date of financial statements and date of auditor's report. कोई सब्सिक्वेंट इवेंट हो गया, लेकिन वो सब्सिक्वेंट इवेंट डिस्क्लोज है फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स में. ये नहीं है कि वो डिस्क्लोज ही नहीं है. अगर डिस्क्लोज नहीं है तो मॉडिफिकेशन करना है. फिर तो ऑलरेडी डिस्क्लोज्ड है, या उसकी एडजस्टमेंट मैनेजमेंट ने कर दी है, बट लेकिन ऑडिटर उसको हाईलाइट करना चाह रहा है, एम्फेसिस उस पर प्रोवाइड करना चाह रहा है थ्रू ईओएम पैराग्राफ. So these are the examples. Yes. So students, एक देख लेते हैं EOM पैराग्राफ कैसा होता है. So like this is the report of a company. Okay. So it is a government company, and here the auditors have given emphasis of matter paragraph on some matters. So we draw attention to note number this regarding arbitration award pronounced on this date in relation to certain matters. Okay. So similarly, there are 4 or 5 matters written here. Now there is a certain taxation matter, note number 56B regarding non-sharing of ITC data of GST for certain periods by some sections. Okay. So these matters have already been disclosed in the financial statements. These matters have already been disclosed in the financial statements, but again the auditor is highlighting these matters through the means of emphasis of matter paragraph. Okay. So the auditor is clearly stating that note number so and so states this matter. So again, the complete matter which is stated in notes is again stated here. Okay. And what is he writing in last? He is stating that our opinion on such matters is not modified. That our opinion on such matters is not modified. ओके। And what is in this report? Look, and yes, Harmisha, your answer is your question is answered here. Like in this report, yes, Harmisha, are you still logged in? If you are still logged in, do reply that your query is resolved. Now, in such a case, in this case, the auditor has given modified opinion. He has issued qualified opinion, but the auditors have also given emphasis of matter paragraph. So what are they writing? The comparative financial information of the company for year this has been restated to give effect to the certain matters arising from amalgamation. Our opinion is not modified in respect of such matters. So जो प्रीवियस ईयर की फिगर्स हैं उनको रीस्टेट किया गया है बिकॉज ऑफ द इफेक्ट टू गिव इफेक्ट टू अमलगमेशन. So they are saying that our opinion is not modified in respect of this matter. Okay, and the matter is fully described in note number so and so to the standalone financial statements. So that is very important. So that is very important. Yes, Suman, you are also right. क्लियर स्टूडेंट्स. तो एम्फेसिस ऑफ मैटर पैराग्राफ के लिए जो दो कंडीशन नेसेसरी हैं वो है कि नंबर वन that this should include only those matters which are already presented or disclosed in financial statements, and number two, this should include those matters which in auditors view are fundamental to users understanding of financial statements. Clear? Yes, Harmisha, क्लियर हो गया आपको? And this is also very important, students. The inclusion of emphasis of matter paragraph in the auditor's report does not affect the auditor's opinion. ऑडिटर का ओपिनियन नहीं इफेक्ट करता ईओएम पैराग्राफ. वो तो सिर्फ कुछ ऐसे मैटर्स को हाईलाइट करता है जो कि ऑलरेडी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स में डिस्क्लोज्ड है या प्रेजेंटेड है. जो ऑडिटर का ओपिनियन है वो तो उसने मॉडिफाइड देना है या अनमॉडिफाइड देना है, वो तो वो देगा ही. ये उसके अलावा कुछ मैटर्स हैं जो कि वो जो फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स में ऑलरेडी डिस्क्लोज्ड है उस पे उसको एम्फेसाइज करना है, तो वो एम्फेसिस ऑफ मैटर पैराग्राफ के थ्रू दे सकता है. सो an emphasis of matter paragraph is not a substitute for a modified opinion in accordance with SA 705. So when a modified opinion has to be expressed, it has to be expressed in accordance with SA 705. The auditor cannot include such matters in EOM paragraph and say, look, I have already explained such matters in EOM paragraph. So in a case where modification of opinion is required, he has to express modification. Okay. So EOM paragraph, remember, it is not a substitute. Remember, it is not a substitute for modified opinion. जहां मॉडिफाइड ओपिनियन देने की जरूरत है वहां मॉडिफाइड ओपिनियन ही देना पड़ेगा. आप ईओएम पैराग्राफ में ओपिनियन दे के ईओएम पैराग्राफ में उस मैटर को लिख के उसको खत्म नहीं कर सकते उस चीज को. ओके. EOM paragraph is not a substitute for disclosures that are required to be made by the management. So disclosures which are required to be made by the management in accordance with financial reporting framework, these are the responsibilities of the management, and these have to be in any case, these are required to be made by the management. These are required to be disclosed. Okay. So to say that management has not made some disclosures and therefore I am including it in EOM paragraph, how foolish it would be, because in such a case I would be required to modify my opinion. Okay. Because if because that is an example of, that would be an example of misstatement. So disclosure which was required to be made but has not been made by the management, it would be an example of misstatement. Reporting in accordance with SA 570 when a material uncertainty exists. तो SA 570 में हमने पढ़ा था ना कि जब material uncertainty है, when there are conditions or events which cast a significant doubt on ability of an entity to continue as a going concern, and there is a material uncertainty relating to such events, then auditor includes a para, material uncertainty regarding events or conditions which may cast a significant doubt on entity's ability to continue as a going concern. Okay. So that para is an independent requirement that cannot be clubbed in this SA 706 under EOM para. These have to be separately stated when there are material uncertainties. Okay. So these 3 points are important to remember, students, that EOM paragraph is not a substitute for modification of opinion when it is so warranted. It is not a substitute for disclosures which are required to be made by the management in accordance with applicable reporting framework. It is not a substitute either for reporting in accordance with SA 570 when material uncertainty exists regarding certain events or conditions which may cast a significant doubt on the ability of entity to continue as a going concern. Yes, students, is it clear to you, EOM paragraph? Yes, EOM paragraph is also given in modified opinion. It can be given, it is not necessary. Yes, Vaishali Bindal, it can be given like in this report of the company which we have just seen, like the opinion is modified. This is a modified opinion. This is a qualified opinion, but the emphasis of matter paragraph has also been given to highlight certain matters which in the auditor's judgment are fundamental to users' understanding of the financial statements. So it has nothing to do with this qualification. So the matter which has been stated in EOM paragraph, it has nothing to do with the qualification. Qualification relates to some other matter, and emphasis of matter paragraph relates to some matter which is fundamental to users' understanding of the financial statements. Yes, Vaishali, clear to you? So other matter paragraph in auditor's report. other matter paragraph in auditor's report. So if the auditors considers it necessary to include certain matters in his audit report which are not disclosed in financial statements, which are not disclosed or presented in financial statements, but which either relate to audit, auditor's responsibilities, or to the auditor's report, which are relevant to the user's understanding of audit, auditor's responsibilities, or the auditor's report, then such matters shall be included in other matter paragraph. जबकि EOM paragraph में क्या था? Matters which were fundamental to users' understanding of financial statements. Now here the condition is matters which are relevant to users' understanding of audit, of say how the audit was conducted, of auditor's responsibilities, or the auditor's report. So such matters would be included in other matter paragraph, like provided this is not prohibited by law and these matters should not be key audit matters. So separate section for other matter paragraphs. So when other matter paragraphs are included, again there is a separate section for other matter paragraphs under the heading other matter paragraphs. So there would be a separate heading other matter paragraphs. And under those other matter paragraph heading, these items which are to be included, these matters, these shall be included. So अगर auditor include करना चाहता है EOM paragraph और other matter paragraph audit report में, तो he shall communicate regarding his expectation and wording of the paragraph. Yes, Sushil, probably you are much late or there is some network problem. So I have already explained. I'll again sum it up EOM paragraph in few words. You can see the recorded lecture later on. So emphasis of matter paragraph वो paragraph है जिसमें कि auditor उन मैटर्स को इंक्लूड करता है जो कि ऑलरेडी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स में इंक्लूडेड हैं या डिस्क्लोज्ड हैं, लेकिन ऑडिटर की जजमेंट में उन मैटर्स को एक अलग से पैराग्राफ में देना इंपॉर्टेंट है क्योंकि वो फंडामेंटल है, वो बेसिक है यूजर्स की फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स को समझने में, यूजर्स की फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट की अंडरस्टैंडिंग के लिए वो बेसिक हैं, वो फंडामेंटल हैं उनको समझने के लिए, इसलिए उन मैटर्स को एम्फेसिस ऑफ मैटर पैराग्राफ में दिया जाता है. ये कंपल्सरी नहीं है, लेकिन अगर ऑडिटर समझता है कि कुछ मैटर्स ऐसे हैं कि उनको एम्फेसाइज करना जरूरी है, सो ऑडिटर उसको एम्फेसिस ऑफ मैटर पैराग्राफ में देगा, जैसे कि इसके नाम में ही है एम्फेसिस ऑफ मैटर, मतलब किसी मैटर को एम्फेसाइज करना, किसी मैटर को एम्फेसाइज करना, हाईलाइट करना. यस, नाउ अब अदर मैटर पैराग्राफ में क्या चीजें आ सकती हैं, क्या एग्जाम्पल है अदर मैटर पैराग्राफ का? से स्टूडेंट्स, जैसे like auditor has conducted audit of a company which has say got 20-30 branches, or say it has 100 branches. Let us assume it has 100 branches. So the auditor has not conducted audit of all such branches. the branch auditors have been separately appointed. Say out of 100 branches, 90 branch auditors were appointed. So these branch auditors have given their report to the auditor, to the company auditor, to the main auditor, who has taken into consideration their reports while finalizing his audit report. So such matter stating that he has relied upon the reports of branch auditors, it deals with what? It deals with auditors' responsibilities. So such matters can be included in other matter paragraph. Like similarly, say if there are some components, if there are some subsidiaries which are not audited by the auditor, so the auditor has, while preparing consolidated financial statements, the auditor has taken into account reports of such subsidiaries audited by other auditors. So obviously, such matters can be stated in other matter paragraph. ये स्टूडेंट्स क्लियर है आपको? सो स्टूडेंट्स एक बार थोड़ा सा फिर ओवरव्यू इसको कर लेते हैं. सो टुडे वी हैव कवर्ड टू एसेस, SA 705 और SA 706. So SA 705 deals with requirements of modification of opinion. So we had understood that SA that as per SA 700, modification of opinion can take place in two circumstances, in two situations. One situation is that when the auditor has obtained sufficient appropriate audit evidence to conclude that financial statements are not free from financial misstatements. And number two, when the auditor is not able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence and to conclude that whether financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatements. So in these two situations, the auditor would have to give a modified opinion. So SA 705 deals with the manner of modified opinion. So we have learned that modified opinion is of three types. It is of three kinds. One is qualified opinion, one is adverse opinion, and one is disclaimer of opinion. So qualified opinion means when the auditor, on the basis of audit evidence obtained, he has concluded that financial statements are not free from material misstatements, but their effects are material but not pervasive. Okay. Or when he has not been able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence, and he concludes that possible effects of undetected misstatements, these are these are material but not pervasive. So in these two situations, he would be expressing a qualified opinion. And when he concludes that effects of financial statements are effects on financial statements of material misstatements are both material and pervasive on the basis of audit evidence obtained, then he would give a adverse opinion. And disclaimer of opinion, when he concludes that he has not been able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence, and the possible effects of undetected misstatements could be both material and pervasive, then he expresses a disclaimer of opinion. So SA 705 deals with all these three things. And SA 706 deals with inclusion of emphasis of matter paragraph and other matter paragraph in auditor's report. And it is a sort of additional communication responsibility of the auditor. And assess and emphasis of matter paragraph is included when the auditor considers that there are certain matters which are already disclosed or presented in the financial statements, but which in auditor's judgment are fundamental to users' understanding of financial statements. Therefore, he includes such matters in emphasis of a matter paragraph. He emphasizes those matters by referring these matters to the financial statements, to the notes in the financial statements. And we had also learned that EOM paragraph is not a substitute for modification of opinion, and it is not a substitute for disclosure requirements which are required to be made by the management, and it is not a substitute for inclusion of a material uncertainty paragraph as required by SA 570. Okay, so these three things you have to remember. And SA 706 also deals with auditor's responsibility in relation to other matter paragraphs. So other matter paragraph is a paragraph which includes such a matters other than those disclosed or presented in financial statements, and which in auditor's judgment are fundamental to users' understanding of audit, auditor's responsibility, or to the auditor's report. So such matters are included in other matter paragraph. Yes. So I provided you the basic summary. Yes, Nikita, 44 EB report, audit report can be revised. Yes, it can be revised in certain circumstances. Manish Kumar, it was not practical for the auditor to physically verify inventory. Can he state in other matter paragraph? It was not practicable for the, say Manish, if it is not practicable for the auditor to physically verify, to attend the physical inventory count, then he has to perform the alternate audit procedures. And if he has not been able to perform the alternate audit procedures, then he has to modify the opinion. If he is not able to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence, even by performing alternative audit procedures, then he has to modify the opinion. He can't write it in other matter paragraph. No, going concern assumption, Vishali, these matters, if there is some uncertainty regarding these matters, these have to be separately stated in SA in accordance with the requirements of SA 570. Yes. Anything else, guys? Yes, anything else, students? So that's all for today, guys. So see you again on Wednesday, and Happy New Year once again to all of you. And my best wishes to all of you for your preparations and for your learning. And do give your feedback, students. Thank you so much.